Let's get right into it. Number 10. Lobster. Imagine telling someone from the 1800s that you paid $100 for a lobster dinner. They'd look at you like you just said you paid premium prices for a rat sandwich. Back then, lobsters were literally the cockroaches of the sea. They were so common that prisoners complained about being fed too much lobster. These things would wash up on beaches in piles 2 feet deep. People would just grab them and use them as fertilizer for their gardens. Servants would actually have it in their contracts that they couldn't be fed lobster more than 3 times a week. It's like if today's workers had contracts saying, "Boss can't feed me too much caviar and Wagyu beef." But then railways started connecting the coast to inland cities, and these inland folks had never seen a lobster before. To them, this weird sea creature wasn't a beach cockroach. It was an exotic delicacy. The railway companies started serving lobster on their trains, and since inland people had no idea lobster was poor people food, they charged luxury prices for it. It's like if someone convinced people in Alaska that pigeons were exotic birds and started charging $200 per pigeon dinner. By the 1880s, lobster had completely changed its image. It went from being prison food to being served at the fanciest restaurants in New York. The same creature that prisoners complained about eating was now being enjoyed by the richest people in America. Number 9. Living in a neighborhood before it was cool. These days, people are bragging about living in areas that used to make their parents lock the car doors when driving through. Take Brooklyn's Dumbo neighborhood, for example. The name stands for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass, which sounds about as appealing as a dentist appointment in a back alley. Back in the 80s, this place was basically where buildings went to die. The only people living there were artists who couldn't afford Manhattan rent, and even they were like, well, at least it's not Staten Island. Now the average apartment there costs more than your entire college education. Those old warehouses that used to store cardboard boxes are now industrial chic lofts with exposed brick walls that rich people pay millions for. The same people who wouldn't be caught dead in these neighborhoods 20 years ago are now fighting over $5 coffee shops there. Real estate agents list properties as being in pre-gentrification areas, which is basically code for get in now before the oat milk lattes arrive. That graffiti that used to scare away buyers is now street art that adds cultural value to the neighborhood. The old factory down the street isn't abandoned anymore. It's a mixed-use creative space where people pay $50 to do yoga next to vintage machinery. The ultimate status symbol isn't just living in these neighborhoods now, it's being able to say you lived there before the craft breweries and vintage clothing stores, because nothing says, "I'm culturally aware and financially savvy," quite like being able to say, "I bought here when everyone thought I was crazy." Number 8. Being a nerd. Being a nerd used to be a social death sentence. If you collected comic books, you had to hide them under your bed like contraband. Having an encyclopedic knowledge of anything that wasn't sports meant getting stuffed in a locker. But now being a nerd is like having a PhD and being cool. Those hidden comic books are worth more than cars now. That Star Wars knowledge can get you millions of followers on social media, and professional gamers make more money than doctors. Remember the stereotypical nerd with thick glasses who knew everything about computers? Those kids grew up to become tech billionaires. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they're launching rockets into space instead of getting bullied in hallways. Being a nerd today means you're smarter than average, more dedicated, and more interesting at parties. While everyone else talks about weather, you're explaining how Thor's hammer works. Comic-Con went from a secret gathering to being bigger than music festivals. Hollywood stars now beg to hang out with the same people who used to eat lunch alone. Those thick-rimmed glasses that got you teased? Designer brands sell them for hundreds of dollars. T-shirts with obscure Star Trek references are high fashion. The world finally realized that being passionate about something is actually awesome. Number 7. Dungeons and Dragons. Back in 1985, playing D&D was like admitting you collected toenail clippings. If you played D&D, you were basically volunteering to be stuffed in a locker. But now celebrities are fighting to get spots at D&D tables. Vin Diesel, the guy known for racing cars and punching bad guys, is such a huge D&D nerd that he taught Dame Judi Dench how to play between takes on a movie set. Joe Manganiello, the guy who looks like he was carved out of marble by ancient Greeks, built a luxury gaming vault in his basement, complete with props from the D&D movie and original artwork from D&D manuals. It's like the Batcave, but for fighting dragons instead of crime. Being a dungeon master used to be the ultimate nerd job. Now companies are literally hiring dungeon masters to run team-building exercises. Tech companies especially love D&D players because they're basically problem-solving machines. If you can figure out how to defeat an ancient red dragon with nothing but a rope, 2 healing potions, and a rubber chicken, you can probably handle debugging code. The ultimate proof of D&D's transformation is people are now pretending they've played D&D when they haven't. The same game that used to be a social death sentence is now cool enough that people lie about playing it. Number 6. Thrift store furniture. Imagine telling someone in the 1990s that their grandma's old coffee table would one day be worth thousands of dollars. Back then, having secondhand furniture was a dead giveaway you were broke. But nowadays, that dusty old chair in your attic might be what the cool kids call mid-century modern. Take the Eames lounge chair, for example. Your grandpa probably had one of these in his study. That old chair now sells for up to $7,000. Those weird boomerang-shaped coffee tables from the 70s that looked like they came straight from the Jetsons are now considered statement pieces and can sell for more than your first car. Even those basic teak sideboards that used to scream, "hand me down," are now screaming high-end vintage. Professional pickers wake up at 5 a.m. to be first in line at Goodwill. They're hunting for pieces that families donated because it didn't match their decor. The same people who were embarrassed about their secondhand furniture in the 90s are now paying thousands to get it back. It's like watching your ex get really hot after you broke up with them. These furniture pieces were the IKEA of their time, but now they're vintage treasures and investment pieces. That ugly lamp your grandma wants to give you might just be your retirement fund. Number 5. Backyard chickens. These days, if your neighbor has chickens, they're probably making more money than you. People are dropping thousands of dollars on luxury chicken coops that look nicer than most starter homes. These coops come with solar panels, automated doors, and security cameras that connect to your phone. And these aren't regular farm chickens. People are buying rare heritage breeds that lay blue, green, and chocolate-colored eggs. Some of these fancy chickens cost more than a PlayStation 5. The Ayam Cemani breed is completely black, from feathers to bones, and costs up to $5,000 each. That's more than some used cars. Silicon Valley tech bros are competing over who has the fanciest chicken setup. They're installing climate-controlled coops with automated feeding systems and LED mood lighting. Their chickens have more Instagram followers than most humans. The same people spending thousands on designer chickens are bragging about being self-sufficient and living off the grid. Nothing says off the grid like a chicken coop that has better Wi-Fi than most coffee shops. Keeping chickens used to be a sign that you couldn't afford store-bought eggs. Now it's a sign that you can afford to spend $200 on a single egg-laying bird that probably has its own social media manager. Number 4. Having a side hustle. Think back to 20 years ago. Your Uncle Bob mentions he's driving for extra cash on weekends. Everyone at the family dinner table gets quiet. The awkward glances start flying around. Poor Bob must be struggling, they think. Fast forward to today. Your cousin Sarah mentions she's got a pottery shop on Etsy. Everyone's leaning in, asking for her shop link, telling her she's so entrepreneurial. Having a side hustle used to be like having a giant "I'm broke" sign taped to your forehead. Now it's more like wearing a designer badge that says "I'm ambitious." About 45% of Americans now have a side hustle. That's nearly half the country doing what used to be seen as desperate. The highest percentage isn't among people who need the money. It's actually among people making over $100,000 a year. They're working extra jobs just for the clout. If you're not diversifying your income streams, people look at you like you're lazy. We've gone from hiding our side jobs to bragging about how little we sleep because we're always hustling. Number 3. Ripped jeans. Imagine telling someone from the 1950s that people would pay hundreds of dollars for jeans with holes in them. They'd probably think you're crazy. But that's exactly what's happening today. Back in the day, if your jeans had holes, it meant one thing. You couldn't afford new ones. Your mom would patch them up with whatever fabric she could find. And if you showed up to school with ripped jeans, you'd be the target of some not-so-nice jokes. Then in the 1970s, the punk rock movement came along and said they were going to rip their clothes on purpose. These punk rockers would sit there with scissors and razors, making their jeans look as destroyed as possible. In the 1980s, heavy metal bands started doing it too. Having ripped jeans wasn't about being poor anymore. It was about being rebellious and cool. Fashion designers saw this trend and thought they could sell pre-ripped jeans for 10 times the price of regular ones, and people actually bought them. It's like paying extra for a pre-scratched car or a pre-dented phone. These days, some designer ripped jeans can cost over $1,000. You're paying more money for less fabric. So next time you see someone wearing jeans that look like they've been through a paper shredder, remember, they probably paid more for those holes than your grandparents paid for their first car. Number 2. The dumb phone. Pulling out a dumb phone at a fancy restaurant is like saying, "I'm too important for your Instagram food pics." These basic phones that can only call and text have become the new Rolex of the tech world. It's like showing up to a party in a $2,000 plain white t-shirt. It's not about what it does, it's about what it says about you. And what it says is, I'm so successful I don't need to be available 24/7. The intern desperately refreshes their email every 5 minutes, while the CEO has people to do that for them. Even celebrities are jumping on this trend. The less reachable you are, the more important you seem. Some tech executives are doing it too. The dumb phone has become what vinyl records are to music, a way to show you're above the mainstream. People are paying hundreds of dollars for phones that can barely send a text. It's like buying a car without an engine because walking shows you're authentic. Some people are even buying fake dumb phones. These are actually smartphones disguised to look like old Nokia bricks. It's like putting a horse saddle on a Tesla. So next time you see someone rocking a flip phone, they're probably making more money than everyone else in the room combined. Or at least, that's what they want you to think. Number 1. Speaking multiple languages. Remember when being bilingual meant being the designated family translator at age 8? You'd be sitting there at the doctor's office trying to explain what colonoscopy means to your grandma while other kids were watching cartoons. At parent-teacher conferences, translating both ways and carefully leaving out the part where your teacher said you talk too much in class. Back then, speaking another language at home was like having a weird hobby. Kids would make fun of your funny name or the weird food you brought for lunch. Your mom would yell at you in your native language in public, while everyone stared like they were watching a foreign film without subtitles. Now people are paying thousands of dollars to learn a second language. They're downloading Duolingo and practicing Spanish while sitting on the toilet. Companies are throwing extra money at people who can speak multiple languages. Your LinkedIn profile suddenly looks like a UN conference with all those language badges. Those same kids who made fun of your weird language are now posting Instagram stories of them struggling to order coffee in Paris. That thing where your brain switches between languages mid-sentence is now called code switching, a sign of superior cognitive function. You were interpreting medical conditions before you could tie your shoes. You were negotiating cable bills while other kids were watching SpongeBob. You were explaining tax forms while your classmates were learning multiplication tables. Being multilingual is cool now. We've been here the whole time just waiting for you to catch up. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.